Hey everybody, I'm sorry I did not do a good job about posting for this live today. I'm going to put on my headphones because I kind of hurt my foot yesterday and I was supposed to be posting that we're going to be talking about death and the question and answers. But anybody who's on, I hope you guys now can tell that this is what we're doing. We're talking to Guruji. We initiated a conversation about death and how it's a different plane of existence. And now what we want to discuss with him is questions. I had a lot of questions that came up. I also want to say that Oh no, I'm sorry, I am doing it. Yeah, Guruji, I'm just going to add you on once I pin the comment. So guys, anybody who wants to ask a question today, please go to the question sticker and ask a question. There's a question sticker that you can see. It's a question mark. So if you go to the question mark, you can it's very easy then to ask the question, and it'll come up dark and good for everyone to see. So do that. If anybody is going to make inappropriate comments, I'm sorry, I am going to kill and hide the live from you. So now we're going to get Guruji to join. And don't see what? The question. Pranam, Guruji.
Namaste, how are you?
I'm very well, Guruji. How are you?
Doing well. One technical problem.
What happened?
We have a very strong wind and rain, and the network is not functioning well.
Okay, Guruji.
At any time, it can be disconnected.
No worry, Guruji. When it gets disconnected, it'll get disconnected. While it stays, it'll stay. So, Guruji,
Right.
once again, I want to just mention to everybody, they're asking, if you look at the 2 question marks in the bottom where the comment is there, not for you, Guruji, for everybody who's listening. And there are 2 question marks. Yeah, look, there's already a question. Somebody just asked a question. So if you guys put your questions in those 2 question marks, I'll be able to see them, and then we can take those questions. We will get them really nice and clear, and we'll be able to answer them. Even Guruji will be able to see your questions word to word. And if you can't find the sticker, just put your questions here. Okay, Guruji, again, Pranam, Guruji. We will deal with the network. We will deal with the network problems when we get them, and we will do this as long as we can, Guruji. We'll see how Narad Muni is treating us today.
Okay, we will leave it to nature. Then let us see.
Absolutely, Guruji. Absolutely, that's the best. So let's do that. So, Guruji, your last time's discussion on death was very useful to a lot of people. People wrote to me and said that they were able to process death very differently. People who had lost loved ones. It gave us a chance to understand it as a different plane of consciousness. And a lot of questions came up, Guruji. So because we have limited network, I'm going to start with the first question that was asked to me. So, Guruji, there is something called past life therapy, right? Where people go to a past life, somebody who puts you, I've actually done it too with Dr. Brian Weiss, where you go into a trance and hypnosis and you can access your subconscious mind to get memories of your past lives, to heal from a sanskar that was created in the past life. So, Guruji, the question is that something that we should look into, or we should just let that be?
See, everybody knows mind is so mysterious. That is why we have all these questions and experiences. From the dawn of creation, people were asking questions like this, and many people verified its authenticity or its reality and looked inside. This is how our spiritual science has been developed. Now, the question is whether we can bring our past life memories and deal with that as a therapy. Here we must understand what mind is. and what is our memory? It's only the play of hormones and neurons. I think in one of our episodes we discussed about neuroplasticity. Our neurons will merge each other. It will make some forms. That forms will be experienced and it will be expressed through the senses as our desires and other feelings. If there is a stimulation from outside, like a hypnotism and all these things, either through the touch or the sound or the smell or the taste or the vision, if we stimulate our inner structure or inner glands, and this glands will produce hormones. When the hormones start playing inside, we will experience something. It is based on the hormonal changes. And actually, our memories are being created or being transformed into our experiences. It's very mysterious. For that, we have to understand the real science from within. So, if a psychologist or a mental mind trainer gets 10 people, and that mind trainer is using a technique for this or on this 10 people, and 10 of them will experience 10 different ways. It is depending on how we manipulate our hormones within. So I cannot say yes or no for the approval of this question. There will be some changes. It depends on the quality or the particular state of that person's mind who is going for the treatment. Definitely there will be some effects or some reflections, and we have to label it whether it is useful or not. Yes.
So Guruji, the question really is it worth looking at past life karmas? Right? That is so we may or may not make the changes. I mean, like you said, right, Guruji, when in that hypnotic state, your neuroplasticity has increased and you can kind of undo bonds that were really strong. But that's a different story. The question is, should we in this life, there was a reason that we don't have access to those memories for a certain reason. So is it advisable then to get information from a past life?
This is what I told you. Get information from the past life is actually an experience. If you are capable of making that experience, you will not bother whether it is past or future.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
that is the difference.
That's lovely.
So
okay.
we create many things in our body or in our brain, but the question is whether you are making it or you are depending on some external stimulations. If it is happening compulsively, I cannot say that will be useful. Great. But if it is happening consciously, you are a yogi or a yogini.
Okay, Guruji, now I understand clearly what you're saying is that when we have access to past memories, yes, it is true that we have the ability to rewrite our stories. However, how do you arrive at those past memories? When you arrive at those past memories in a state of deep sadhana, it is something that you have worked towards, and that is what a yogi does. And it does not matter whether it's from this life or that life, because life after life it's the journey of the same soul. So it doesn't matter where in time it happened. But if you use an external stimulation to arrive at that same stage, you may not really have that kind of power and capacity to do what you think you might be able to do. Perfect. Makes complete sense, yes. Guruji. Yes, makes complete sense. Okay. Because that's actually a question that's been on my mind for many, many times, and a couple of other people asked as well. Okay, so I'm going to take the first question. If you cannot find the sticker, it's fine. Just ask your questions here. If the soul moves into the next life, is the soul... now she's asking if somebody has lost this one life and has moved on. I think Guruji answered this last time, but we'll start it again and then we'll take newer questions. That is the soul able to still stay with us energetically and guide us in this, even though they don't have this deha, this body, and is in a new body?
Yes. You are asking about soul, whether it will be here or it will be moving
Yeah,
on.
yes. Oh, such a yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right,
But
Guruji. The
let
question
me ask
answers
you,
itself.
let me ask you a question. What is soul? This is why everybody will keep on asking questions about soul, whether it is coming or going. But the question is, what is soul? In
Yeah.
Sanskrit, it's called Atma. Nowhere in the book, Atma is explained because soul is beyond our comprehension.
Yeah, it's to be experienced. Yes.
And as far as the science is concerned, or the spiritual science is concerned, Atma, the soul, is infinite. It is omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. Infinity cannot be many. Then what is the relevance of this question? This
Yes.
question is a product of our limited mind,
Intellect.
I mean
Yes.
intellect.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
so long as we are, holding ourselves, or we are being trapped into the limitations of our own intellect, this question cannot be answered. That is why in yogic books, it is clearly said, Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vilaksham Panja Kosha Vyatirakta Avastha Traya Sakshi Sat Chidananda Surupa Atma. The meaning is, Atma, the spirit, the soul, is beyond your tangible, intangible, or this causal body, spiritual body, whatever you know in your mind is not connected with the spirit. Go beyond all these things. Then only you will come to know what soul is. The moment we understand, or the moment we get the question as an experience, the answer as an experience, all these questions will vanish. Otherwise, we keep on asking questions. We will give answers within the limit of our intellect. No end.
No, that makes sense, Guruji. That makes complete sense. That soul is something to be experienced, and you can't put this the kind of finite. If it's infinite, we are putting this fine. It's nothing finite. Nothing is finite about the soul. Nothing is tangible about the soul. It is an
Yes.
experience to say it's in this body, or it's in that body, or it's with you, or it's with somebody else. None of this makes. It's kind of like you said. It's omnipresent. It's omnipresent. It's omniscient. It's everywhere, and it's still nowhere.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So, Guruji, the next question is really funny, and I like it. It's, if the world population is increasing every day, does it mean that more creatures are getting into human form to liberate themselves?
Again, we see this world as very big, and we think there are billions of people, there are trillions of other beings, but comparing to the size of the universe, this solar system is only a speck. And our limited intellect cannot understand the reality of the existence of the universe. So, just for our comfortable management of our mind, we can ask for, or wait for, or look for answers for these questions. I strongly recommend the listeners, everybody, spend little time for looking inside. Then keep these questions alive. Then slowly the practice will give the answers. And if I try to give an answer, I have to quote from one book or the other book, or the teachings of our previous masters. But what is the use? What I did is, I also did the same. When I came to know that these questions cannot be answered within the frame of our intellect, I did meditation. I kept these questions alive and started meditating in a serious way. Slowly, I came to know all these questions, like it was vanishing. Again, I cannot say it was vanishing. It was transforming itself into the questions were transforming themselves into answers as experiences. This is an amazing experience. So all questions will be answered as a revelation, not a verbal conclusion.
Guruji, it's so funny. I want to share a story because based on your answer. This morning, my younger daughter, she's 12 years old, and she was asking me, Mom, how do you know that these things in the Shastra, because in the Jain Shastra and in the Hindu Shastra, how do you know that this is true? And I ended up telling her, Guruji, I told her, I said, Suhani, I'm not believing anything that's in the Shastra. I'm just believing everything that I'm experiencing. What I experience, and then I see it's in the book. I say, oh, this is what I experienced, and it's in the book. Then my daughter's telling me, Mummy, that's not you talking. That's Guruji talking. You're talking Guruji's language. And that's exactly what you said right now.
See, that is why this is not the first time. It might have been happening, thousands of years. That is why in India, we have Vedas and Vedantas. Vedas are like explanations, the experiences which can be conveyed through words. That is Veda. So many millions of verses were given to people, but still people were asking questions. Then finally, masters went to Vedanta, means Siddha. So Vedas will verbal exchanges.
Yeah, Shuddhgyan.
Slowly go to the Siddha. Siddha means the science of silence. Mauna. So this had happened thousands of years ago in this tradition. That is why Veda went to Vedanta as Siddha. So Veda and Siddha are both sides of the same coin. This is what I told you in the beginning. So one is subtle, one is gross. So from the gross level, slowly we should transform back into the subtle level. When we go to the subtlest, we will come to know, from where all these questions evolved. Then these questions will be dissolved. From inside this, everything will be happening. That dissolution will be expanded to our horizon of knowledge, which is beyond words. There Veda ends, Siddha starts. So practice the science of silence. That is the only way.
Very true, sir. Very true, Guruji. Very true that you kind of understand it, all that gyan which is there, and then you start. The example you had used, Guruji, once was of the pole vault, that you have the pole vault to a certain degree, and then you jump on the other side, and that's when you leave the pole vault. So it's So it's kind of similar that yes, all of these manuals are there. We have all of this. We start our journeys with this. Luckily, we have this Indian ethnicity and background. But eventually, when the questions start coming up, the answer is going within us, and that silence and discovering it. Right?
Yes, immerse ourselves into the silence. Then we will come to know the Maharudra dance, the violence in that silence. When we understand this, evolution and involution, violence and silence, everything will be going beyond this duality. This duality. Their duality will vanish. A duality, Advaita, will be established.
Great.
Then we alone will be managing or understanding or manifesting. That is why Veda declared that Aham Brahmasmi. I am that which is beyond words, which has not got a second. So understanding is the only way for getting answers for these questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to respond to Ghemud Amol. Ghemud Amol, I don't think Guruji is saying that it's not about knowing the answer or not knowing the answer. It's that unfortunately, these are just those things. If somebody explains gravity to you, right, it's very hard to understand what gravity is. But when you experience gravity, you experience gravity. You don't need an explanation anymore. I think similarly, what Guruji is saying, that all of these questions are genuinely beyond the intellect. There is no right way of explaining it. And instead of confusing us with an answer which comes from a textbook and then makes us go and seek that, he's saying that it's actually easier. It doesn't take ages. Ghemudamol feels like it's going to take ages. But I can tell you for sure, even in the last few months of talking to Guruji and some of the work before answers start coming, it's like you ask the questions and the answers will come in silence.
Yes.
Absolutely.
See, one more thing. I can just give you an example. All these Vedas, Upanishads, everything were discussed in detail. Still, people couldn't understand what the reality is. That is why you might have heard about Mahabharata, the story of Kauravas and Pandavas, and they started fighting each other. So, if we go deep into the story, we will come to know it is explaining about these questions and how the answers can be, discovered. I cannot say, can be found. It is being discovered from within. So these two armies, all other things are like, beautifying the story. But Vedavyasa's children, this Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Dhritarashtra himself, by birth, is blind. Pandu was very strong. And Pandu has got 5 children, Pandavas. Dhritarashtra got 100 children. Pandavas actually represent 5 senses or positive thoughts. Then Kauravas, more in number, negative thoughts. But from same father. See the arrangement of the story. And they keep on fighting. Never they get along. Even though Pandavas wants to be in harmony with the Kauravas, never they accept their proposals. Then finally, they went into the war field in Kurukshetra. The meaning, Kuru means the feeling of I in Sanskrit. Kshetra is body. So Kurukshetra, the war ground, is our own body and mind.
Yeah.
And one side our positive thoughts, other side our negative thoughts. And the story was organized in such a way that they came face to face. Then, see the technique. The real player of, the victory maker or the all dependence on Pandava side is Arjuna.
Yeah.
He was the sharp shooter. So everybody was expecting only Arjuna can beat the Bhishma. Bhishma is the key person for Kauravas. So you just understand. Then just before the war, Arjuna became confused.
Yeah, the nervous breakdown. Yeah.
Yes, all hopes were on him, and he became nervous. Before the war started. That is why the chariot of Arjuna was kept in the middle of 2 armies. Then Arjuna was asking the questions as you all are asking this. How I can kill my grandma? How I can kill my grandfather? How I can kill my Guru Drona? So like he was asking stupid questions. I am not saying this stupid question. This is what Krishna asked. Kudastva kashbalamidam vishamesham uvastidam anarya jushtam asurgyam akirtigaram Arjuna. This is what Krishna said as a reply to Arjuna. He used Kachmala, means utter stupidity. This is not the time. This is not the time to ask these kind of questions, Arjuna. All hopes are on you. And that means that is Arjuna represents our conscience. And Krishna represents cosmic consciousness. That is what is called Guru. So Guru should be revealed from within. There, slowly that argument or the conversation, the dialogue, advances, all other arrangement of the war field or arranged, everything will be vanished and the dialogues will come up. Then Arjuna was asking these questions one by one. Then Krishna was giving answers. So there, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, everything was discussed. Still, the curiosity of the Arjuna, the curious mind cannot understand or accept the conclusions of the master because he is skeptical. That is the peculiarity of mind. Finally, this is the key. Krishna showed his Vishwarupa. There, Arjuna became really like he became insane and he was screaming. He said, "Hey, Krishna, I cannot bear this. I cannot understand or I cannot bear this knowledge, against this knowledge. Please change. I don't want to see you as you are. Slowly come back and assume or take your, shape, ordinary shape of Krishna, whom I know as my friend." So he was screaming. He was really begging for that. Actually, what is that Vishwarupam? This is what I told you from very beginning. Hold the breath. Then activate your autonomic nervous system. There, you will be able to see the abundance or the reality of existence. There, we will come face to face with the death. When the death hormone develops in our body, we will come face to face to reality. Of course, in the beginning, it will be very difficult to bear the load of Kundalini awakening. But gradually, we will start enjoying it. When we enjoy and establish into that experience, finally, Arjuna will say, "Hey Krishna, I am ready for the war. Take my chariot to my position and I am going to fight the war." That was his declaration. This is how we have to develop this death hormone or Kundalini awakening experience. Then we will start smiling and say or declare ourselves that, yes, now I am ready for life. Then no more questions, only unconditional actions, nishkama karma. So this is how we should understand our scriptures. Yes.
That was the most beautiful explanation, Guruji. In 5 minutes, you gave us what years of trying to understand did not. And you know what I really liked, Guruji, is that Dhritarashtra is blind. So from the place of tamas, that blindness and darkness in our mind, comes all of these kleshas, these 100 kleshas, and and the other thing, Guruji, that just also came to my mind when you explained this is that, we love, how Arjun said, "Oh, this is my uncle, this is a part of me. How can I attack him?" So that's how we start loving our vices. We start loving our versions of ourselves and we don't want to let go. And then when Krishna says, "Hey, awaken and see what is really the truth," even without hating yourself, just do it. Without that, you don't have to have the hatred in your heart. You just have to do it as your dharma. And Guruji, there is so much talk about hating your kleshas, about hate, but it's so great that you don't have to. They're all, you're just doing this because you understand that experience that Arjuna had, that the world is much more than this. I have to right now stay focused. Oh, this needs to be recorded and really, really, heard again and again, Guruji, that it's the fight between the blindness in ourselves and the light in ourselves and how the
Yeah.
life.
If you understand Gita as it is amazing. Like, have you noticed that Gita is not a direct explanation to the reader? Actually, see the technicality. Gita is delivered after the 10th day of the fight. If you look seriously or carefully, you will come to know that is a strategy of a wonderful writer. So before the war, Vedavyasa, the great sage, came to Dhritarashtra and offered him to see the war from the very beginning. So he offered that, he will give the third eye or the sixth sense activation through which he can witness the war.
Right.
What Dhritarashtra said, I don't want to see the war. That is our nature. Even though we know the reality, we are blind.
We don't want to see it.
Yes, our two eyes are open because that means spiritually we are blind. Even though God himself is appearing in front of us and saying that I can show you the reality, we will appreciate our ego and our possessions only. So Dhritarashtra said, I don't want to see the reality. Even though you are explaining everything to me, I will not accept. Because he was expecting in his conscious mind or in his intellect, thinking that wherever Bhishma is there, Bhishma is unbeatable. He is invincible. So he was a hope that so long as Bhishma is alive, my children will win the war. But his inner self clearly told him that wherever Krishna is there, success is there. But he knows that is the clash. His heart told him that in which side Krishna is present, that side will win. But still his intellect said, no, why can't you have a hope on Bhishma Pidamaha? He is Swachanda Mrityu. Death is by his will. So he can get the victory. He can defeat the Pandavas. So that is the real clash. So we all are going through this clash. Our heart will say, yes, heart is saying this. Your children are not yours. Your house is not yours. The whole world is not yours. Even the body is not yours. Body is keep on changing. It is by nature, or this is the property of Mother Nature. We know very well that, but still we cling to that with great expectations. Our brain will bring desires. So Dhritarashtra was clinging on his desires and he denied the offer from Vedavyasa Maharshi. Then Vedavyasa gave that capability to Sanjaya. Then Sanjaya was also not allowed to explain or narrate what's happening in Warfield for 10 days. This is the key of Bhagavad Gita. So every day Dhritarashtra was expecting that today I may win. Today my children will win. That is the hope of an ordinary blind man or spiritually blind man. This is what we are. Ordinary people are representing that.
Spiritually blind.
Yes. 10th day, Bhishma fell. So Sanjaya was running towards Dhritarashtra and said, Bhishma Pidamaha fell and his own arrows. Arjuna made him down. So by hearing this, Dhritarashtra became unconscious. He couldn't bear anymore. Then people came over there. They gave this, care and everything, pour water on his face and everything. Then he woke up from that unconsciousness state. He sat and then said, now all my hopes gone. Okay, Sanjaya, tell me what you saw in the war field. Start from beginning. That was the time he was prepared to understand the holy war. I mean, he was renounced. All his hopes vanished. Up to that moment, he was clinging to the valor of Bhishma.
Ego.
When he came to know even Bhishma also fell, now no more hope. I have to accept the reality. There, Sanjaya started telling this one from the very beginning. How? See the role of Dhritarashtra in Gita? Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveda Yuitsua, Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, Kimakurvada Sanjaya. This is the only question he is asking. Then the whole Gita is only a narration or the dialogue between the Krishna himself and Arjuna. So Dhritarashtra is asking, Mamakaha, my ego. Mama means mine, me and mine. And Pandavaschaiva, the ultimate reality who can win. Kima Kurvada, what they have done, Sanjaya, tell me from the very beginning after 10 days. So this is the technique which is applied in Gita. We all are doing the same mistake. We know very well as per the law of nature. But still we cling and finally, maybe one day a disease or a unexpected or unbearable loss made us thinking that now I accept the law of nature. Then we will become matured enough to listen Bhagavad Gita, the war between positive and negative thoughts. Finally, Krishna was explaining everything and concluding like this. Idile Gnanamakhyadam Gukhyat Gukhidamam Maya. Hey Arjuna, I am giving you all the secrets of secrets. The secret of the secret. Then Vimritsita Sheshena, you critically analyze whatever I explained to you because all are verbal exchange. Then Idhe Chasitadha Guru, you do whatever you like. This is the freedom which is given to a spiritual seeker. No more beliefs. Critically analyze. Vimarshita Sheshena means don't have any compromise. Critically analyze, then take your own decisions and get into actions. This is what everybody should understand. We should be prepared enough to get into spiritual sadhana. For that, we should give up our clingings to senses.
Beautiful, Guruji. Beautifully explained that how, like Dhritarashtra held to Bhishma, we hold to our ego, believing that I can do this, I can do this.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then till we realize that we can't do it. And then the only way Dhritarashtra had to was to actually introspect, understand what happened since the beginning of the war. And even at that point, when Krishna and Arjuna have the dialogue, when your light awakens and you start seeking, like Arjuna started seeking outside, that part of you starts seeking, and Arjuna started seeking. Krishna Bhagavan said that don't just believe what I say. I am just giving you information, you experience it. Wow, you summed everything up so one day we should just have a session where you explain this, because Guruji, you explained what we go through, like what life, the beginning and end of life is about so beautifully. Wow. Okay, we'll take questions, Guruji, quickly now. The question here is, I don't know how to open it. In Kundalini Yoga, is it that one has to ascend from the Muladhara chakra and go upwards? A lot of different meditations ask people to directly focus on the heart chakra or the Agya chakra. Do you have to start at the Muladhara?
Yes. Actually, in Kundalini awakening process, there is no particular order.
Okay.
This is explained in the books for people who are advancing themselves into the process of Kundalini advancement. Initially, what we can say, or from my experience, I can say there is no order. There can be an activation, a spark in any one of these chakras. Again, these chakras are not in our physical body.
Yeah.
All these things are happening in our astral body or pranamaya kosha.
Mm-hmm.
When these small sparks takes place, certain reflections will be in our annamaya, our material body. So we cannot locate exactly this is the point of chakra. Another thing, when we activate one chakra in our body, that similar vibrations or the continuation of that chakras, or you can see a chain of sparks around the world or in different plane of consciousness. So one master wrote this one, like ഒരു പതിനായിരം ആതിഥേയരും നാൾ വരുவது പോലെ വരും വിവേകവൃത്തി. This is in Malayalam. One Narayana Guru explained this. Meaning is, when you get a spark of Kundalini awakening, it will be as same as 1,000 or 10,000 suns, rising together. Just imagine the light of that process. He was explaining something will be like that. So words are too limited to explain the chakra activation. It should be experienced. But in the beginning, definitely we can feel the sparks in our different centers, and there is no order for that.
Okay, great.
People are expecting and they are molding their mind with certain structures, as you see in the 3D projection or creations, like one, in Deepavali we use some rolling thing, and it is like it is rolling, slowly going up like small rockets.
Yeah.
Nothing is like that.
Great, Guruji. That was a great answer. Technical, but really important. Thank you, Guruji. It explains things for my practice also. I'm going to take the other question. I think this is an important question, Guruji. So Guruji, this, I've heard this actually in the last 3-4 months, more than one person talking about what should we do when we feel suicidal.
Okay, it's an amazing question. If somebody feels they want to, or he or she wants to commit suicide, make a trial. Instead of hanging, the body somewhere, or drinking some poison, or cutting the vein, or whatever it is.
Hold the breath.
Before we going into that, what we should do, close the door, sit alone, sit on a chair or on floor comfortably, and hold the nose and mouth together continuously, and just observe what's happening in the body. Body immediately will tell you that stop doing this stupid thing. I don't want to die right now. It will declare, and you cannot go beyond that. But instead of doing that, if that person hang himself or herself, that thought will come, I want to survive, but he will be unable to do that. He is trapped into that action. If we drink poison, our self will scream that I don't want to die, but that sound cannot come out because it will be blocking the act or the capability of action. We will be addicted or will be trapped into it. So anybody who is getting at suicide tendency, do this. Body will declare that whatever may be your reason for committing suicide, just hell out of it. This will be the reflection or the reaction from the self.
Guruji, that was so great. Even just doing Kumbhak, when anybody feels like this, so instead of going towards darkness, you end up going towards light.
Yes.
Wow. That's actually
anybody who is having a tendency to commit suicide, let them practice this forceful, Kumbhaga. Slowly, the tendency of committing suicide will be transforming itself into the tendency of experiencing the reality. So death can be a reason for a new spiritual birth if you select the right path.
Yes, this is great, and Guruji has been explaining this to us since the start, that by holding the breath, you kind of get to experience, get a glimpse of death. And when you get a glimpse of death, you get a glimpse of life, and you understand how transient and what a big illusion all of this is. So,
Yes.
very great, Guruji. Okay, the next question is, if death is a different plane of consciousness, are all the dead people in the same realm? Some people who claim to be mediums, they say that they can access this realm.
Yes.
Because it's
Some
the same
people,
realm.
some people are capable of creating their strong experience from thoughts. Some are not, but some are ignoring it. For me, what I am doing, I am dismantling all my bundle of thoughts. That is what yoga, chitta vritti nirodha. We have to dismantle the process of accumulation of thoughts. But some are taking that bundle of thoughts and cultivate within and produce experiences. And everything, even the manifested world, is a creation of our own mind. So people are different categories. Some will create their own thoughts, manipulate it, and produce experiences. And these people will claim many things. They are right. From their experience, they are 100% right. Some people will not do that, or they're not capable of doing that. They keep asking questions. Some are very, very well experienced in managing the thoughts, either process the thought for certain purpose or eliminate the thought for other purpose. They are called yogis. This medium level people who cannot manage these thoughts called rogis. People who are creating their thoughts and enjoying it or expressing it in a different way called bhogis.
Yes, Guruji. Great, great. So that I think the answer to the question is that yes, they are able to access different parts and different realms. They're able to organize and channelize their thoughts and channelize their energies because, like Guruji said, like it's omnipresent. The soul is omnipresent. There's no destination or geographic location for these things to happen. They're happening everywhere and they're happening nowhere. It's like that.
Yes.
Okay. So, Guruji, this next question is because we have 10 minutes. Is I underwent this, she asks, Tripti asks, I underwent a Nadi acupuncture once, and I had this amazing experience where I could see and almost touch my diseased mother. Is that the play of hormones as? I don't know how to see this whole question. I'm trying to understand
It's
how to.
correct. It's correct. Question is
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That past, the memories of her mother
Mm-hmm.
was very alive in her body, and due to that stimulation of the memories, the neurons or hormones produced,
Mm.
and that created strong thoughts. It molded visions or the feelings within, and she started experiencing her mother. It is possible. This is how we create our world. Our great sage Shankaracharya very clearly said, Drishyam Darpana Matrena. The world is actually created within, in our own mind. There can be many methods applied for that creation. Drugs, other like rasayanas, chemical things in Ayurveda, or breathing exercise. So whatever may be the method, but if you cultivate a particular thought and mold something which is real within the body and within the mind, we can experience it. It's true for that person, not
Yeah.
for everybody. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think Tripti Guruji is saying that it is possible for you to be in that state where you were in the same realm as your mother energetically, and
True.
whether it's drugs, yoga, acupuncture, meditation. Of course, Guruji constantly reminds us that you want to use the right sadhans for your sadhana. You don't want to just use anything, right, Guruji? Because that becomes a true yogi when you use the right sadhans. But he says it
Yes.
is possible that you can be in the same energetic realm for that moment because you have access to that part of your mind.
Yes.
Makes sense, Guruji. Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. Okay. Okay. So now, Guruji, this question is, how do you overcome the sudden death of someone when all your conversations, and I think you've answered this, Guruji, already, but we'll still do this because, like Guruji just mentioned, you can be in the energetic run. And you know, Guruji, I have actually experienced this with my uncle died when I was younger. And for when I was younger, and I was always like, oh my God, I didn't express anything to my uncle. But I feel such a great energetic connection with him that there is no need. It's like it's understood. Nothing needs to be said. Nothing needs to be told. Wherever he is, it needs to be it's understood. But anyways, we'll take the question: how to overcome sudden death of someone when all your conversations remain incomplete.
Actually, we don't want to overcome that memory
Mm-hmm.
or that process. From my experience, I can say
Mm-hmm.
whenever I feel I need some guidance or some like exchanges with my father or my guru,
Mm.
this is the process which I am doing. I bring all my memories into action and I cultivate the thoughts, frame it, and I can speak to them as I speak to you.
Yeah.
Actually, in yogic point of view, Nidhi or my father, who has passed away around 20 years ago, in my mind, both are same.
Yeah.
You are in material plane, he is in spiritual plane, but
Mm-hmm.
both are happening in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Either I can eliminate these two planes or I
Mm-hmm.
can cultivate it. It is my
Beautiful.
own desire. But if I do it with my own control, I am a yogi. I am a spiritually elevated, established person. If I take stimulations from outside, external stimulation through my senses, I am a bhogi. I am a materially dependent person.
Lovely.
If things are happening, these processes are happening beyond my control, and I don't know what to do, I am a spiritually or mentally diseased person, a yogi. This is what is said in its order: yogi, bhogi, and rogi. Yogi means the God himself or whatever it is, completely established, um, spiritually elevated person who is having all control. Second one is attached or dependent with external stimulations. They are called materialist, not spiritualist developed. This is materialist, completely in tune but under control. No, like it's not making any trouble for others. But the third one, things are happening beyond the control. That is what is called disease. So three
Absolutely.
categories are available. Now everybody can ask themselves in which category we are. Of course, deceased people need help, but the middle level people who are materially, like enslaved, they can work themselves to to upgrade themselves to the spiritual plane of consciousness.
Yes.
So Bhogi can slowly step up into yogi level.
Absolutely. It sounds a little bit like tamas, rajas, and sattva. But yeah, Guruji explained it so well in terms of our actions that, yeah, if you're just in darkness and you have, then we are rogis, which most of us are rogis, Guruji. We keep asking you the same
No,
questions. We keep asking you the same questions in different ways, Guruji.
I didn't say that most of us are yogis. Huh?
We are, Guruji, not you. We are definitely rogis.
No, no,
We
no
are
need to declare that. You're all,
the...
I can say people are asking these questions. They are all bhogis.
Okay,
They
thank you,
have the
Guruji.
best, they have the best opportunity to raise themselves to yoga level or yogi level. Yes.
Great, Guruji. Okay, we'll take one last question. We are multidimensional beings, so are we able to choose where we have our expectations and lessons. I'm not 100% sure what it means, but maybe Guruji, you understand what it means.
Once again, the question, we are
Dimensional
dimensional beings.
being.
Yeah. So we are able to
Are,
choose.
so
Where,
are we?
yeah, of course, we are multi-dimensional. Again, multi-dimensional means technically there are 18 planes of consciousness available for an ordinary yogi. Then, if that yogi is advancing himself or herself into different planes, as far as our scriptures are concerned, there are 108 planes or dimensions which we can play with. So everybody is multidimensional and we have great potential within, and focus the mind, then explore it. Then we can experience these different dimensions. Yeah.
Guruji, that session today gave us so many answers in so many different planes. This session today was one of the most powerful sessions we've had because, firstly, you summarized what life is about. That till we think our ego is everything and Bhishma is everything, we are blind. And when we start seeing, then we can come into this utter confusion that Arjuna was in, where he's like, oh my God, now what do I do? Now I've seen my darkness, but I know there is light. And how do I go
Yes.
about this? And then to just focus and work. Ah, that was a really powerful explanation,
Yes.
Guruji. And even though what you said about the suicidal thoughts, it makes everything else look like a joke in the world, whatever all
Yes.
these explanations. So, Guruji, for the
Don't
next
don't let Dhritarashtra be in action.
Yes, don't let Dhritarashtra be in action. And you're right, Guruji. The fact that we are here, we are kind of like asking the questions. We're kind of on the chariot. So we are not, maybe we've moved away from Dhritarashtra level and from full Rogi level. Maybe we are kind of on the Bhogi level. So you're
Def-
right about that.
Definitely, Krishna is ready to give you answers.
Yes, Guruji, absolutely. Guruji, I have one question for the next time you and I talk. Guruji, can we talk about breaking sanskars? Like, simple. I've been struggling, Guruji, with like simple habits, breaking them, right? I do my meditation. We'll talk about it when we talk about it, Guruji, but we'll talk about if that is a good topic to take. It's just how to break your everyday sanskars.
Samskara. Yes, it's a good question. So we will discuss about it.
Okay, Guruji, thank you so much. This is very powerful, has given us a lot of fuel to inspire ourselves for the whole week.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
Pranam,
Thank you
Pranam,
for
Guruji.
everybody. Yes.
Pranam,
Yes.
Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Pranam.
much.
Well, bye.
And anybody who's here, I'm just going to quickly talk about my past life experience because I got a question that somebody wanted to know about how my past life experience went. Uh, I was just, sorry, I was just curious and I went for Dr. Brian Versus 7-day workshop. And I think I had some realizations, but I really liked what Guruji just said, which is you can arrive at that same place, but how you arrive. So it might be, sometimes we have questions from our past lives and we go and get answers. But we've kind of taken a shortcut, and he says it's fine. He does not say yes or no, from what I understood. But basically, what he said is when you arrive at it with a yogic journey, everything in your outside world is also changing as you're having those realizations versus now having a realization and saying, oh, what do I change? It's a different journey. So I hope that answered. I'll tell you who asked that question. I think Peenal asked that question. So I hope, Peenal, if you're still around, I was able to answer that question. Thank you so much. I truly enjoyed today's session, and hopefully we can do more of those. All right. Take care, guys.